Hello, hello, hi all, and again, happy Friday. So, yeah, it's been another long week, and for those of you in the Midwest, it's been a hot one too. But no complaints. I'm not complaining. As hot and as humid as it might get, I will take it over snow any day of the week and ice. So, with that, happy Friday. The weekend is ahead. And I want you to try this little technique with me that I think it might help you with what you got coming up this weekend and into next week. So let's just experiment. Let's try it together. For those of you that are new here or new to me, my name is Angel Henry. I'm president of Angel Speaking, and I am your resident Agile mindset expert and ceiling breaker. First, I call myself the ceiling breaker because I wrote the award-winning book, #1 Amazon bestselling, Dents in the Ceiling, Tools Women and Allies Need to Break Through, all about how we come together to navigate some pretty non-inclusive workspaces, right? Until we have organizations that come to us that incorporate the Agile Mindset Expert, there's still a lot of work to do. So we want to do that together. So you are right now in step 3 or part 3 of a 4-part series. In case you missed it, please do go back. We are talking about how we can all work together, especially if you are an HR business partner or in the inclusion, equity, diversity, and justice office of your organization. If you work out of those two spaces, this particularly speaks to you because this is the work that you're trying to do. This is what you're trying to do. You're trying to create behavioral change for your organization so that it becomes a more inclusive workspace so that people feel like they belong, that they don't have to hide or shy away, that processes in terms of promotion, feedback, performance reviews are all a bit more tailored to the individual and are really meeting their needs and challenging them so that they can continue to progress in their career. Okay, so we're all on the same page. This is what we're all trying to do. That's the goal. How do we do that? That's the conundrum, right? How do we get other people to change? Because we're not doing it ourselves. Usually you all are the ones that we're preaching to the choir about. It's your management, it's the leaders of the business units, it's those direct supervisors that you're trying to get this information into their hands so that they can incorporate that into their team meetings, into their one-on-ones with individuals, so that they can become more inclusive and create a better employee experience. Okay, so we get all of that, but again, preaching to the choir, how do you help them to change? It's this 4-step framework. Okay. It's the Agile mindset framework that will move them and shift them from what they're doing right now, which isn't necessarily bad, but could absolutely always be better. We're always striving for improvement. So even if your organization is winning all the awards and getting all the kudos and the accolades for being the best place to work for women, or the best place to work for Latinas, or the best place to work for millennials, you're getting all those awards. Guess what? There's still someone, there's still a female, there's still an African-American individual, there's still a Latina, there's still someone that, may have a mental illness, have a disability, visible or not, that is still sitting in the seat, regardless of your award, struggling with their direct supervisor, struggling with communication, struggling to get that feedback, struggling to have a clear sense of the work that they're doing. They're still struggling. There's always someone struggling, and this is for them. Okay. So we're not going to rest on our laurels with some award or some accolade. We still absolutely have work to do. Okay, so 4-step process. The first step that we covered, and again, please go back and watch the first 2 videos. The first one was around making a list of your objectives, just making a list. That's it. But the key is that it had to be visible. Step 2 was around, which was the hardest, usually the hardest step, which is prioritizing that list. Yeah, all the objectives, all the people objectives, all of the digital transformation objectives, all of the go-to-market strategies, all the work that the organization is doing at a high macro level. We got to list them and we have to prioritize them. I mean, 1, 2, and 3, and no multiple number ones. Yes, that is the toughest part. No multiple number ones. All right. So now we are here at step 3, time boxing. Time boxing the work that is done. So all of those objectives that we listed and then prioritized have actions. They have tasks that are associated with them in order to move the needle, in order to get things done. Okay. Again, it's a large initiative that usually takes several months, sometimes more than a year or more to complete. So there's a lot of activity that's tied to or associated with an objective. The problem, again, which we tried to take care of in the first place, which is multiple priorities. So hopefully we solved for that issue. So if everyone is completely focused on what it is that they need to do, each individual person in every single team is crystal clear on the top priority of the organization and how their work fits into that, great. Okay, we've checked that first box. Now they have day-to-day activity that they have to do in order to complete that work. They have meetings, they have work products, they have decisions that have to be made, right? Drafts that have to be created and approved and reviewed with maybe working with other teams. All of that has to happen. And as that work is occurring, what happens the most, y'all, is student syndrome. So if you're not familiar with that, it's good old-fashioned procrastination. The way that I explain it is that when you're a student, think back to when you were in high school and or college, and the teacher gave you the assignment at the beginning of the semester or the quarter. Okay. Usually they have a syllabus that they provide. And in that syllabus, we'll show you all the assignments for the entire semester or quarter, right? It could be 12, it could be 24, it could be just 2 big exams. Whatever it is, there's a syllabus. And there's due dates. There's always due dates. It's always the date that it has to be done by. And if that date is well far away from now, like a whole 2 months from now, or worse yet, further out, who's going to start working on it right away? Very few. I would say maybe there's probably 10%, and I'm probably being generous. I'm one of those 10%. I actually would start the research or start working. I was one of those people. Okay. So student syndrome was not getting me, but every now and then it did. Let's be honest, especially when it's something that I did not want to do, something that I did not have the skills to do. We're going to come back to that. And something that really just kind of, I didn't think was important. Right. I'm like, yeah, okay, I get all these assignments. If it's an English course, like, oh, I'm interested in Shakespeare. Okay, let's go to it. But if it's an author that I really wasn't interested in, never heard of, it was some old guy that had written a book back in, 1950, and it just wasn't of interest to me. I absolutely would take a while for me to pick up that book and start getting to it. Right. Versus something that I wanted to do. So you are now presenting. Now let's take this to the workplace. You're now presenting supervisors and middle managers with the opportunity to change. But if they don't have the desire to, if they don't understand the importance, or if they're all for it, but they don't have the skills to do it, any one of those 3 could take them completely out of the game, right? And so they're going to go back to what they normally do. So what happens is we give them a lunch and learn, we give them a workshop, we give them something to read, we follow up with them, we'll bring them all into a meeting and say, here's what we need you to do. Here's some prompts. We'll even give them some scripts, right? Here's what you say in your next one-on-one, or here's how your meeting can be more inclusive. And then we put that in their hands, which is great information. It's exactly what they need, but yet they still aren't making the change because one of those 3 things are at play. And so we have to give them time to practice. We absolutely have to give them time to do the work. And it absolutely cannot be a month or more. No. Time box it to literally no more than 10 days, 10 business days, 2 weeks is the industry norm for this type of work. And it's key that we give just that short amount of time, because when you give someone new, when you introduce something new to them and you say, hey, we're going to follow back up with you in 2 weeks from now, and we want tangible evidence of how you have tried to practice this and feedback back. Oh, I better get to it. That's going to raise right up on my priority list, and I'm going to chew it and get to it. And if I have problems, I'm going to reach out, right? With if we have a supervisor that goes to try to do redo their team meeting, right, to where it's a bit more inclusive. They realize it's been a bit command and control, and now they want to solicit feedback from their direct reports about what should go into the meeting agenda the next time we meet, and it's crickets. The staff does not reply at all. And so they're like, hey, I tried it, didn't work. Right? I tried it in my very next meeting 2 days from now. I tried what you gave me and it didn't work. Oh, well. And so, of course, in that, you have to say, you're going to try this and it might fail. It might not work. And if it doesn't, here's who you contact. Here are the support mechanisms. Here's how you get help and support along the way, so that if you do have a misstep, if something doesn't work, here's your very next step that you need to do, which might be reach out to support, or it might be to try something else on the list. Okay. We tailor that depending on the situation and the needs of the supervisor and their leadership style and that sort of thing. Some people don't need to be led at that level of detail. Some people do. Okay. So again, if you give them just a short period of time, just that short little bit of 2 weeks, it rises to the priority list. You reduce the student syndrome and procrastination, and you get action is what happens. People actually do it. At least they've tried it, right? Better than you giving them the script or bringing them into a meeting and giving them, a 50-minute PowerPoint and expecting them to do all these things and they come back and do nothing. At least we have some movement. We have some activity. We've tried something, we've experimented, and we'll talk about the feedback here in step 4. But the key is action. Now, what's so key about this, and I'll end here, it's so important to do this and repeat this cycle every 2 weeks of work, because then it creates a habit. It creates a habit of change. It starts to change your brain, right? When we want to move them to an agile mindset, where it's, I've tried something, I experimented, this worked, this didn't. Okay. And now I can keep going. So now we've got that ball rolling now, right? It's become a catalyst, and we just keep it going. And the expectation is every 2 weeks we're experimenting and we're trying something new. And we're trying to hit that objective that we set, that prioritized objective that we found in step 2. So step 3 is all about short increments of time. And these can be tailored to the person. But again, we really don't want to go past 2 weeks. That's the longest. Otherwise, you start introducing procrastination. So 1 week is sufficient, right? Again, depending on the person and their leadership style and their personality. There's some variables that go into it, but 1 week absolutely can be it. But 2 weeks is what we see as the sweet spot. Okay. So let's try this. Let's all experiment together and think about something that you have either over the weekend or this coming week. That's a project. Look at it and write it down. Actually write it down on a sticky, on notepad, put it on your screen, whatever the case may be, but I need it written. So write down what it is that the change that you want to make, or the objective that you're trying to meet. And now you're going to have action steps that you're going to put on your calendar that are going to meet that objective. And there could be very well multiple action steps to meet that objective. Great. And then we're going to come back here. It will be 1 week. Our sprint's going to be 1 week. We're going to do a little experiment just for 1 week. So we're going to come back here. We'll meet you back here next Friday at 12:30 p.m. Eastern. And we'll talk about what you do with the output of that, with the information that you will have gleaned over this last week of trying your little 1 week time boxed experiment, right? With actions. Okay. So I cannot wait to hear. So please, please, please do reach out, DM me, send me an email, info@angelspeaking.com. One of us will pick it up. Don't worry, just put in the subject line, time box, and then whatever questions you have in terms of you tried it and it didn't work. You're struggling with what to do next, whatever the case may be. We want to hear why, because we want to create more agile minded individuals so that once you understand this 4-step process, you can then evangelize it and teach others. Okay. So with that, I hope you understand. I hope especially those that are in HR and the CDOs really, really get that this is a process for your middle managers in terms of how you're going to move the needle with them in terms of creating an inclusive culture, for sure. So with that, I'm excited. If you have questions about how, again, we tailor this and work with your organization, just reach out to info@angelspeaking.com. We will send you all the information that you need. We'll hop on a call and we do have what we call a bridge program or a pilot program where we can introduce this 4-step process into your organization for a small cohort of supervisors. Let them get the key learnings and we go from there. So we're really excited about this. Please reach out, share this video with those that you know need it, because this again is a mindset change if we have any hope of change in behaviors. All right, with that, take care. Have a wonderful weekend all, and we'll see you back here next Friday for step 4 of the Agile Mindset Framework. Bye.